Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Clyde Christensen.
Yeah.
Coach, good to see you, pal.
Good to be back with you. Good to see you guys.
Hey, you're a college coach now as opposed to an NFL. You look good. You were good. Why are you moving? You were perfect. You're perfect. Right there. You're perfect. You're back in college now as opposed to 2.5 decades or so in the NFL. And the quarterback that you get to work with at your alma mater is a man named Drake Maye. Okay, he's very tall. I got a chance to meet him in person. I was alarmed by how tall he was. He's very big. He's broad. I was alarmed with how jacked he was. He led the team in rushing, I believe, a couple years back, and now
last year,
now he's being talked about as, maybe the 3rd overall pick or top pick in this upcoming draft class. As a man who knows the NFL very well, knows great quarterback play in the NFL very well, what do you see from Drake Maye that you think will translate in the NFL, and what are your thoughts on him as an NFL prospect as we're one day away from the NFL Draft Spectacular?
Yeah, I'm extremely high on him. I've had a privilege to be around a couple of number one picks. I really think this guy is a number one pick type of guy. He's got a ton of skills. I think his best football is still ahead of him. He's going to be one of those guys who just gets better and better and better and better. He has a lot of the traits that those guys who last a long time have. He gets along with his teammates. He's a stable guy. I think he's really, really good. I think there's a bunch of great football ahead of him, and I've told anyone who'd listen that I really do think he should or could easily be the top pick in the whole draft.
Now, you have to say that people would think because you're North Carolina alma mater and you're his advisor and everything like that. But I don't think, and this is just for me to throw myself into the position, my relationship with Clyde Christensen, I don't think he would throw himself to saying, he wouldn't be going above and beyond to tell me, hey, this is a guy for me to say on the show.
This is a special guy, and I've always, your words mean a lot, and your reputation means a lot, and I probably am prejudiced. I do love the kid and the family and everything about him, but I do think he's really special and has a chance to really play great football for a lot of years. This is a guy who you could build your friend. A lot of those teams that need a quarterback up at the top, and a lot of it's who can you build it around, who can represent your team in the community, who can hang tough, who can make it through some tough times. And this kid has those kind of traits. He has an ability to. He's going to be there for a long time if he can learn to. He's a little bit like Andrew, that he's got to learn to protect himself a little bit. He plays a little reckless like most of these college guys do nowadays. But, gosh, I just think it's ahead of him. And I just some of the things I've heard out in the media, I don't know if they haven't watched film or whatever. But in my mind, this guy's pretty darn special. He's a 6'4.5" kid who's a really good athlete. So he processes information very, very fast, and I think probably the thing you always look at as a quarterback is he going to get along with the team? Are they going to play for him? And the great ones that I've been around all have that ability that their teammates respect and play for him, and this guy has that. This is an extremely popular kid and comes from a great family. Another trait that the great ones that I've been around, from Hasselbeck to Manning to Luck to Brady, they all have great families. They come from good families, and I don't know if that's a prerequisite or not, but it certainly has been a trend for me that they just come from stable, good families with good mom and dad, and this kid would be no different. This guy comes from 4 brothers and just has competed all his life and loves football, loves everything about football.
Yeah, and you're not saying anything about anybody else whenever you're talking up Drake Maye. You're just pointing out why you believe Drake Maye is going to transcend into the men's league in a great fashion. One last question for me, and I know Darius got to meet that entire family you're talking about at a golf event, and he loved the way his brothers were shit-talking him, which is like a part, I think, of what you're talking about with the whole being liked by his team. But, my last question is, they're all saying he's going to need at least a year. This guy's going to have to develop on his technique, his fundamentals, his footwork, his arm, everything like that. Is that every person that goes in the NFL would benefit from a year?
Yeah, I think everyone would benefit. No one, these top picks don't get that. And I do think this is a guy who's coachable, and, he's going to do exactly what the coaches say. He's going to be extremely compliant. He wants to be great. I just don't think it's going to take a year. I don't agree with some of the folks who said that I think footwork, just system wise, he's going to get if he can get in a good system and they're going to coach him, and he's going to, a lot of the college thing is just tempo and a lot of tempo and a lot a lot of plays, and this guy's a bright guy. This guy's reminds me of Peyton as far as processing information.
No, but they both have that Southern accent, so it's
they
hard.
do have a Southern accent, but I wouldn't put I certainly wouldn't put him in Peyton's category yet. He's got to do a lot before that. But processing information, getting along with teammates, being able to do it through hard times and good times, handling both as a quarterback is huge in the NFL because it's a unique position and it buckles. I was looking at a stat the other day that under 50% of the first round picks hit and make it to a second contract with their same team. It's unbelievable.
46%, I think, I think it was
for QBs. Yep.
Yeah, for quarterbacks and wide receivers even lower than that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I would say that coaches and media alike haven't cornered the market on evaluating these quarterbacks and figuring this thing out correctly. But I'm high on this guy. I think he's a can't miss guy, and I think it'll be a guy that someone will take and build their whole franchise around.
I love to hear that. I know North Carolina fans love to hear that. Drake Maye has to hear that and be pumped. And also whoever ends up getting him has to be pumped to hear this is his guy who's been with him for 2 years. And once again, and I like that you threw Hasselbeck in there because Hasselbeck played a long time. Yeah. We're talking about Hasselbeck, Luck, Manning, Brady. This guy's been around. So, that was at Peyton's Hall of Fame party. And then there's a couple other photos where him and Tom are incredibly sweaty. Mm-hmm. I mean, just sweating their asses off, getting after it up there in Canton, Ohio. But, these are obviously heavy words coming from you. Yep, there it is. Let's sweat all over this place with our Super Bowl rings at the Hall of Fame and celebrate at the Super Bowl party. But, as soon as Darius met him, literally the next day, Darius at Radio Row was like, I'm taking Drake Maye #1 after playing around a golf with him. Go ahead, D-Butt.
Yeah, like Pat mentioned, got a chance Super Bowl week out there in Vegas. We got paired up with Phil, and his dad was out there, his uncle. And obviously when you're golfing with somebody spending 4 hours, you're going to see him deal with some adversity. You're going to see some shitty shots if you're not getting paid to do that. But I came back to the boys and said, hey, this might be the guy because everybody at the top, especially when you're talking about talent, you're splitting hairs, Caleb, Jaden, Drake, they're all super talented. But day one, I think the locker room will kind of be behind this guy. Any examples, I guess, with you behind the scenes with Drake, maybe dealing with some adversity, coming back to school, dealing with some things maybe on the field or off the field that you saw firsthand?
Yeah, I think the injury, he got the high ankle sprain in the NC State game where we played poorly and just watching him deal with that. I think watching him, even just how steady he's been through this process, and a lot of the media hasn't liked him and been some negative things out there. And he has that ability. Just it doesn't penetrate. He just kind of just keeps moving and keeps doing his deal. And so I think that would be one thing. I think the other thing that jumped out at me when I first got here after I came this year and just kind of Coach Brown took me in and said, hey, help us out and we'll find some roles for you and hang around but a couple of the big boys came after him in the portal with a bunch of money, and he walked into Coach Brown's office and said, hey, this is my school. This is, I'm not leaving here for money. I am not leaving here, in the portal or anything like that. And I think he had a chance to go make a couple extra $1 million and that shows you something. There's not many kids who just, this is their school. This is they're rah for your school and you're going to stay with it and no matter what. And I think, he backed up for a year or two and then waited his turn. So I think those are good characteristics to have in your quarterback. So
could you imagine, though, he goes to Ohio State?
Oh, my God.
Ohio State was driving on Michigan to beat him in the big house up there in Michigan, and there was a pick, obviously. That guy's now transferred.
Yeah, that's right.
That guy was almost undefeated, McCord.
No, it's...
Throw a pick, you're gone. See you, get the hell out of town. But there was a lot of people that were thinking, Drake Maye was going to be on the market because North Carolina, ACC, they're maybe not going to spend the money. And what I think he told us whenever we had the game day for North Carolina and South Carolina is he didn't want to look at it. I don't even want to hear about it. I don't even want to know. I want to be here. His family's obviously NC and comes from a good family. It's interesting guy that you don't really hear about him much. And he's not on social media, feels like. He's just completely locked in on ball. Old school feel to him, which is probably why you also like him.
I love that part. The stability thing's huge in the NFL. There's so much going on, and it's extra free time, it's money, it's the pressure of having the whole city on your back. And I've watched a bunch of guys do it and do it extremely well. And the guys that I've been around took franchises that hadn't been overly successful and just took them to the top. And so I think this guy's going to do the same thing. And I laugh. This guy's had the same girlfriend since about the 7th grade. He's kind of an old-fashioned. I think he's a lot like Andrew that way. You know, he comes across as kind of an aw shucks guy, but absolutely knows exactly what's going on at all times, and bright, and almost in an embarrassing way. You know, kind of is careful not to brag in any way. He has a humility about him that I really, really like, that I think will serve him well with his teammates and in the league. And yeah, I'm just high on this kid. I think it's all in front of him.
Yeah. Pac-Man has the last question for you here, Coach.
Hey, Coach, you've been around a lot of the greats. As far as
you've been a pain in my neck. You've cost me some playoff money back in Tennessee. FYI, I got some resentments, but go ahead.
You've been around a lot of the greats. As far as throwing the ball, what are some of the tangibles that he have? As of the guys that you've been around,
he has the obvious tangibles of being able to do things off schedule, and probably the thing he's going to have to do is just learn how to do it on schedule a little bit more, and just progress through reads and stuff. He has a deceivingly strong arm. I think whoever gets him will shorten his stroke down. He's been working on shortening his stroke a little bit this off season, and he'll get that stroke a little bit shorter and more compact. And I think he can improve his accuracy, but he has an ability to anticipate like the great ones have. I think that's going to serve him extremely well. And then I think he has plenty of arm to make all the throws. And so I would say anticipation and arm strength are both going to be really good. I think the accuracy, compacting the stroke a little bit, and then just the footwork in the pocket, those are to be things that he'll develop and get really good at here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, because things you can get away with in college, you can't necessarily get away with in the NFL, but everybody has to get better. Like, that is what the NFL is. You have to get better. Yep. So saying this guy's going to have to get better, it's like everybody has to get better. It's the men's league. But quarterback, they're saying, you got to be able to hit the layups. You got to be able to hit the gimmies.
He's not going to miss the layups. This guy will not miss the layup. For every layup he missed, he hit about 2 half quarters. So.
Last question here. I lied to you here. Last question from Connor.
Coach, I mean, everything you're saying, you can see the Patriots helmet on this table. And by all accounts, Drake Maye is coming to New England. So this is all music to my ears. And, there's been a lot of talk about the team that UNC had and kind of how they had a down year last year in comparison to his first year starting. What kind of happened in that situation? And also, they reference how Drake Maye had Tez Walker and everything. How much work did they actually get in before they could play together? Because they only played 6 games together.
Yeah, they didn't get hardly any because it was just kind of up in the air with that ruling, and it was kind of an odd deal. I think that would be another thing to Pac-Man's question. He's a guy who's adjusted to a bunch of different receivers, and has only really started 2 years. So I do think both years they started 9-1, and then this year we started 6-0. And then faded toward the end, and I think that's a combination of a lot of things. I think if you watched him, he would tell you, he'd be the first to tell you he's got to play better and find a way to win games. But some of it is defense, some of it is special teams. A lot goes into those things, and
full team.
But this kid's gonna be fine.
All right. Well, we're thankful that you joined us, and I think Patriots fans are jacked.
Yeah, I'd say.
I'm not endorsing him going up to New England.
Too bad, Clyde. Hey, too bad, Clyde. Sucks to suck. He's coming to New England. You're going to have to be a Patriots fan now. It's up to you.